Hey gamers, it's Gaming with the Guys. I'm Gaming Greg, and I am back from the most awesome of all miniature gaming events. I am back from Adepticon. Well, actually, I've been back for a full week from Adepticon. Didn't get the con crud, but I had the con exhaustion because, as we're going to talk about tonight, there was a lot going on, from hosting a large Bushido tournament to playing into games to doing a lot of shopping and spending money that I probably don't have to just generally catching up with old friends and staying up way too late. I really enjoyed going to Milwaukee and this Adepticon 2025. So, in order to talk about it more and possibly rub in the fact that they weren't there, I'm happy to bring in the fabulous, the wonderful Gaming Jason. Hello, Mr. Jason.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still annoyed I couldn't go to Adepticon, but
Well, we
I'll
scouted
hear
it
about
out for
everything
you.
that I'll hear everything that went on there and hear how Milwaukee is the greatest thing ever.
Well, we'll discuss that briefly. I don't think Milwaukee's the greatest thing ever, but it was a lot of fun, and the new facility is awesome. To also talk about our experiences and endeavors is everybody's favorite doctor and my roommate for Adepticon, the
Dr. Phil?
fabulous Dr. Dice. Whoa! It's like Zombie.
Oh, Jumpy.
Oh, Zombie.
Ambush. Hey, Gaming Greg. Hey, Gaming Jason.
Hey, Dr. Dice, good to have you back, and we hopefully you have fully recovered. I think from the Adepticon experience this year, it really wasn't that bad.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
All right. Well, this would not be complete if we did not pull in the fabulous the artist formerly known as Grandmaster Cody, the impeccable BrushelSprout, aka Cody. Oh, he's doing the slow roll.
What's up?
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, well, it's good to have you all here tonight. Hopefully, everybody's been doing well. For those of you tuning in and have been watching everybody else's post Adepticon videos, it's taken a while to get us all together. And quite frankly, the week I came back from Adepticon, work for me was hellish, and I just was burned out.
Yep.
It was a lot this year, and I just had a great time. And let you know what, before we get into anything else, we got a lot to talk about tonight, and hopefully we'll break this into chunks for everybody. And the first chunk I want to kind of talk about, because I like chunks. That sounded weird. First thing I want to talk about is everybody's Adepticon highlights. The thing, and mainly when we're talking about highlights, what did you do at Adepticon? What events did you play in? What events did you enjoy? Did you guys win anything? I know I didn't. I won Most Exhausted Old Man award, I think.
In our group, yes.
No, I'm thinking of all Adepticon. Pretty sure I was the oldest, funkiest smelling.
No,
I don't even get funkiest smelling.
Not even close. There was one time the elevator door opened and I about threw up.
Okay,
Yeah,
I wasn't with you for that one. I
bypassed a couple elevators for that reason.
So
Gamers. Oh,
yes. There are no Axe deodorant girls walking around spraying people down randomly.
but there should be. But there should be.
That might make it worse.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. You know what? Forget the axe. Let's just go with the power washer.
Yeah, that would be better.
There
Go
you
with
go.
Power wash simulator.
Also,
never
don't destroy
hurt.
the ozone around the stadium. We'd probably just destroy it with all their Axe body spray.
No. So, Cody, let's have you start this cavalcade off. What events did you play in while you were at the fabulous Adepticon? What things did you see?
All right. So the first event that I played in was the go to the open stores Wednesday night and buy the Adepticon, and I was one of the lucky 10 to pull the yellow resin.
Ooh,
So
the yellow resin.
Yeah, so I got a starter set that's coming from the company for pulling the yellow resin.
Oh, nice.
Adepticon. So that was Wednesday night. First purchase, start off right. That's pretty exciting.
Did Conquest? Oh no, what did Conquest have its booth outside the vendor hall, or was it somebody else that was working with
It
them?
was through Elric's.
Elric's Hobby. Okay.
Yeah, they had
Okay.
the booth outside, and then Conquest or Parabellum was inside.
Okay. Okay.
Um, so yeah, so that was fun. I'm a sucker for those things, anyways. But I was
Yeah.
gonna buy the figure regardless, and getting one of the fabulous yellow guys made it really worth the while. So so yeah, so that was Wednesday, and
Okay.
then Thursday I played Moonstone with
Oh.
the wonderful Dr. Dice as the TO.
Ooh, very nice.
Friday was Bushido with
Yes.
Gaming Greg, the wonderful, as the TO.
Thank you.
And then Saturday was Free Blades.
Excellent. I know we have let me see if I can put up some Free Blade photos here. Keep on going. So Free Blades, how was that this year? That's I know that's one of those events that I don't get into, but I know you guys enjoy immensely.
Yeah, I really like Free Blades. They've got one of the best communities out there. The company itself, being US based, they're very involved, especially at Adepticon. And the tables that get brought are typically brought by the community, and they're just fantastic.
I was
That's one
gonna
of the best
say.
things. They do, they run events all throughout the con, and counter games and stuff, and it's like all skill levels, so you don't have to know how to play in order to um, show up and do some free blades. But I do the big tournament on Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and this year I actually placed fourth, made the cut, and then
Nice.
lost my first cut game.
Well,
Ouch.
Yeah,
but you made the cut. Hey, you made the top four, so that's pretty darn good. You
yeah,
can't.
much better than previous years.
Mhm.
Got to play on some of these really awesome tables, and I
I mean,
also won best painted free band,
very
um,
nice.
diorama, and then single model. So
Okay.
that's one of the big things with free blades too, is they have 3 different tiers of paint levels. Um, so I think it's novice, adept, and then master class, and I'm in
Okay.
master class. Uh, and then there's like 6 categories per class basically. So a lot of
Excellent.
people bring some awesome stuff, and like
Mhm.
this board was brought by one of the guys, and I actually got to play on this round 2, I believe.
I will say, and you'd sent me some pictures of the boards, so these are some amazing boards to play on and whatnot. And Free Blade, and the nice thing that, again, I myself am not a fan of Free Blades, but I will say Free Blades the rules do allow you to make full use of the terrain that's out there. So
Yeah.
if you've got elevation, if you've got castles, you've got walls, you could use it to do everything. So that's really cool. Especially when you have boards like this castle, the little town you had there, or even, this kind of monolithic kind of deal here. And what is it? Last year they had like a huge dock boat kind of thing. Our whole
Yeah, that was the our Canadian friends. They have like 8 feet of board that they bring, but with being in the new venue this year, they didn't bring that board.
okay,
Just logistics, trying to figure it out, but they'll probably bring it next year.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, they're some really cool boards. It's definitely something that I want to try my hand in at some point, but 3D printers, they're just like dice. They just don't work when you need them to.
well, exactly, and I think we're all trying to get used to the new venue too. Not that the venue again. We'll talk about this in a little bit. I don't think any of us had. I had a general idea of what it would be like because I've done a convention or two there for work, so I understood what the convention center was going to be like. But I don't know if all of us, and myself included, knew just how, from a logistical standpoint, how things were going to work out. Can I get my crap in? Where am I going to store it? Hotels, the elevators, yada yada yada. There are a million questions, and I think this was this was a good experience for us to kind of go and figure it out. So your Saturday was spent pretty much doing free blades, and then Sunday was just doing your normal shopping and kind of hanging out.
Yeah, actually, Sunday I went back to hang out at Free Blades, and
Okay.
um, I was talking with John, the owner of Free Blades, and Colin, he's the rules master, and
Okay.
just sitting around chit chatting with them while we were watching the top 4 games play out and whatnot. And that's actually when they brought up the medals for the best painted, which I didn't know they were doing. They always
Oh.
do these really cool
Do they do
coins.
their own medals, or did they have Adepticon medals?
So typically it's always been like a coin. I don't have one of them on me, but it's kind of like the Dragonfall coin.
Oh, okay,
Um,
sure.
Oh, okay, nice.
but yeah, so they do that, and then this year they did the actual Adepticon medals too. So I don't know if that was new at the venue or if that's something that has always happened.
So the Adepticon medals are always basically, if you're running an event, they'll ask you what prize support you need, basically what medals do you want and for what placing. And the medals are usually nice. This year, however, those, those medals were ridiculous. Do you have yours, Cody, for painting so you can show it?
Yeah, give me a second. I
I,
gotta get up. So
yeah, no problem. I lovingly refer to Dr. Dice. You probably had the same thing. I lovingly refer to it as medal slash belt buckle.
It was
Uh,
a Texas-sized belt buckle. That's
oh,
for sure.
it definitely was. You know, you just if you put ZZ Top on it or some of your if it was a favorite beer, if they would have put Pabst or something from Milwaukee, which I think would have been appropriate, and maybe that's why they were doing it. Those things were just absolutely huge.
Gorgeous. I mean, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, they were, and and again, it's nice. And again, I will give the people at Adepticon credit. They have done well by me every year. When it comes in regards to medals. So I've been able to get, for this year, I was able to get one for first, second, third, and fourth place, plus a painting prize. So I had 5 medals for my 40-man event. There we go. Oop, take it back
Oh,
a little
damn,
bit.
you're right. That is a giant belt buckle.
Right?
It really
for
is.
for all of us Bushido players,
Right.
that's your size comparison.
Yeah,
It is
Right.
a big metal, and it's heavy,
it's heavy.
and it's got high quality. I mean, like everything is really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cody, I don't. You should just go ahead and just take that to a fabricator and just make that into a belt buckle. That seems like it's pretty easy to do, and just be like, boom.
Yeah, I was really wanting one of these, and then finally getting it on Sunday. I was like, my Adepticon's now complete.
The
So,
Adepticon is
and
complete.
not only did I get one, I got 2.
And you have a
Excellent.
couple from previous years, don't
No,
you?
Yeah, those are all.
You know what you should do? Like Worf, he's got that big metal bandolier. You should have one of those made, just put all the medals on it.
Your
Right
honor
there.
sash.
Yeah, exactly.
damn, now I'm bummed that I wasn't able to go to try to win one of those.
Well,
I
they'll
only had,
probably
like,
do the
one or two.
same next year.
Yeah,
maybe.
it may be the same next year for sure.
Or
Well,
similar.
you never. I'll be honest. You never know what they're going to be using for prize support next year, but it will
True.
be a medal. You just don't know. Like most of the time, it's a gear.
Yeah,
It's
that's what I
some
was gonna
kind of
say. It's
gear.
usually the gear because I've got a bunch of those, and they typically stay with that kind of like circle gear like orientation. So that's why this is just so drastically different. So if they decide this is the new era, I mean, I'm all for it. But who knows? They
Yeah.
might switch it.
Well, it's funny. Just Adepticon in general used to be very 40K centric, and it's still kind of that, but they are now considering themselves to be the world's premier miniature gaming convention, right? And so, consequently, I do think that this departure was a little bit of a departure from the 40K aesthetic and very much into the whole, hey, this is minis in general. This is who we are. And they're
Yeah.
moving up to the big leagues, right? I mean, but in addition to the belt buckle, can we talk just really briefly about the other prize support that they give you? I know
They
when
don't-
you went up, they hooked you up.
Mhm.
I went up there to grab my medals for my tournament when we were on break.
Yep.
And Mike, I think, was the guy behind the counter. Mike and Matt, I talked to both of them, and coolest people ever. And Mike goes to the back. He says, "Wait a second, how many people do you have in your event?" He runs back. He comes back out of the back closet. He's got an armful of like the basing materials, like the little tufts of stuff,
Yep.
and he's got some dice packs. And I mean, he was just like, "Here you go." And so this way, I was able to take care of the people a little bit better at the event. So that was like they didn't have to do that. It was just
Yeah,
awesome.
he did the same thing for me when I went to go pick up my first thing in the morning on Friday as I'm walking from the hotel to our Bushido room, Bushido Central.
Right.
The Bushido Cave. I stopped in to pick up my prize support. And he's like, "Hey, you want some more prize support?" I'm like, I'm always one for taking more prize support because I'm terrible about drumming that stuff up. I'm usually doing most stuff out of pocket." And he hit me with the same things, a lot of stuff, which was great because then we were able to do first, second, and third place for our painting prizes, and we were able to give lots of stuff to those people. I mean, we got the same thing. We got the basing material, we got the tufts, but we got a boatload of really nice brushes.
Yeah.
So the painters were super, super happy. It was nice. It was nice that the first place winner for painting got not only his medal and the dorky little prize that I got for the painter, which apparently everybody loves. But I was able to give everybody else some extra stuff there. And then he gave me they had an extra mini swag bag. So I had
Right.
that to kind of
Yeah.
give away. And I'll be honest, I may have kept the bag itself for me because it was like extra. It was extra chunky man style. So it's a bigger than normal bag. So I kept it for me. I emptied the damn thing out and gave away the stuff, but I'm like, I'm keeping the bag.
Is it
Things
like
go south.
is it just a
Throw-
nicer drawstring bag or
Well, it's a drawstring bag, so it's not kind of like the kicker bags that you would put your shoes in and whatnot that they traditionally give because it's only got one cord coming out, but it's like 2 times the size.
oh
So it's
Jesus.
like it's like an industrial trash bag. All right, so that sounds like you enjoyed yourself there. Were there any other events, Cody, that you saw that you would have liked to have gone into and that you're thinking about getting into next year?
Ooh, that's a tough one because there's a lot of events that
Okay.
I'd love to, but
Ponder
time.
that. Ponder
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Ponder that. We'll get back to that.
It's
We'll stick a
already
pin in that.
hard playing 3 different game systems across 3 different days.
If you're the truth is just be crappy at all of them, and then you'll be fine. Be
Yeah,
me. Be me.
yeah, true.
So, Dr. Dice, let's move over to you. What was your Adepticon experience? You got to play in some events. You got to have some cool times. You didn't
Well, I
send me any
mean,
pictures of anything, but you know.
so here's the thing. It's funny that we're talking about this. You and I were basically conjoined at the hip, pretty much the entire time. So much
You
so.
were my gaming wife.
There was one time we were walking down the hallway and there was a piano. And as we're walking past the piano, I go to the low side, you go to the high side, and we both go on the keys. And then we look right at each other. We go, they hate this.
Right from Ghostbusters. There's some dude watching us, and he's like, "Who the fuck are these guys?"
But so I'll recap it for the crew that wasn't there with us, right? Because that's the whole point of this. We're not just talking to ourselves. So on Wednesday, you and I arrived. We kind of did our thing. We were able to get the stuff that we wanted to get. Thursday, went in, set up for Moonstone, got that ready to go. We had the Moonstone event, went swimmingly. Everybody seemed to really enjoy the narrative.
That is awesome.
Which is something that I think Moonstone really needs kind of more of. So I'm hoping to really keep drumming that up. On Friday.
Well, just to stop you, I know you were really concerned about the narrative events because and we kind of tested them out a little bit. We kind of worked some kinks out, and I know you finished things off at the end. And I was extremely glad to hear that it was super well received. So that was awesome. So kudos to you for that, and for the Moonstone community that really embraced it. Because yeah, I mean. I love the game, and yeah, it would be nice if it was super competitive and whatnot. But you know what? That game just lends itself to telling stories.
True.
That was cool.
Absolutely. And as a player in the narrative event that Dr. Dice ran, it was very fun and it was a good primer. Bushido and Freeblades are very competitive games and everything.
Yes.
And going into Moonstone with not the competitive mindset, just it's narrative. Like I took a subpar list, just models that I wanted to play, and I had an absolute blast. My opponents had an absolute blast, and that was all that mattered.
That's great, and that's what it's all about, really. All right, so continue, sir. Sorry.
So and then Friday, I'm trying to think what I did on Friday. I don't know.
Warcrow.
Oh yeah,
Warcrow,
that's exactly what I did on Friday.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That'd be important.
Yeah, I said I was recovered. Is that true? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, so
you may have left a little of yourself in Milwaukee.
Oh, I absolutely did. I left my heart in Milwaukee.
You just need some medicine.
Oh, you know me all too well, sir. That is exactly what the doctor ordered. So yeah, so Friday I did some Warcrow. Warcrow went well. I'm not going to say I played well because, quite frankly, I had It was the first time ever playing the Scions list, but hey, whatever. It was
Mhm.
a learning experience, but it was also just another narrative event, which meant no pressure, have a good time, enjoy yourself. And boy, did I ever. And I think everybody else that played that event did as well. So kudos to, I think his name was Mike, who ran that event out of Wisconsin there.
Very nice.
And then on Saturday, we played some Cyberpunk,
Yes, we did.
right? Which
That
was
fun.
great. I felt like I was in the running for the championship, and I'm glad I didn't win it. Actually, I'm glad I didn't because the list was Cheese
You,
Boys.
you may not have won the tournament, but you got something nerfed.
I think I did. I think I did.
Single-handedly.
I think I did. I mean, when somebody who's kind of one of the heavies comes up and puts their hand on my shoulder and says, yeah, yeah. I'm like, okay, I know what's going on, and it was. I had a cheesy list. I'm happy to recount it later if somebody cares, but maybe we'll talk about that at some point.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, you and I just kind of relaxed. We relaxed. We walked around. We did some shopping, and we're going to talk about all the shopping that we did a little bit later.
We will be talking about shopping just a little bit. So I normally now would ask Gaming Jason what he did for his events while he was there.
I hated myself because work fucking sucked.
You just got demonetized.
That's all right, dude. Oh, I already did that for us. It's okay.
Instead, I just kind of like peeked in here and there and saw what all my friends were doing, having fun. I'm just like, God, I fucking hate life right now.
Well, I will say that you were the first one to report to us issues with some of the things at the Bushido tournament. So thanks for that.
Well, my bad. I mean, you
No,
didn't tell,
it
you
all
didn't
worked
ask
out.
me to
That's a
double
whole
check stuff.
different
Like,
drama
I mean,
level. But
otherwise I would have done that.
in the end, it all worked out pretty much. Like
Worked
it
out as
always
best it
does.
could.
So then we'll just slide right into what gaming Greg did, and I'll try and give the somewhat brief version of it. So Wednesday, I picked up Dr. Dice down in lovely Schaumburg, and we actually drove past the Schaumburg Convention Center, going, "What the fuck? We could be here already."
Not now.
But
They
yeah,
destroyed the entire parking lot. Like they're redoing the whole damn
oh,
thing over at
they're
the convention
redoing a whole
center.
thing. Maybe they'll put another level of the convention center, and yeah, it still wouldn't be. At this point, I'm still happy with Milwaukee.
Well, we wouldn't be going back for 10 years. So.
Yeah, well, that's the rumors. We're going back for 10 years.
They send a 10-year lease.
Yeah,
They
I
do.
would think they would have
10-year
to do
agreement.
something that long for it.
They
And to be honest, and we'll talk. Well, again, I may shuffle the schedule up, and we'll talk about more about the site up here in just a second. So got to the convention center. My big concern is I've got 12 tables worth of terrain and boards and stuff to kind of get into the convention hall, and how the hell am I going to do that? I mean, the good news is I had a room that was locked down for 2 days, so I just could put my stuff there, and that's home base for 2 solid days, which next year may be 4 days. So so we basically pull up alongside, and security was totally different. So I'll get into that in a minute. We pulled up alongside the street. We dumped some stuff off. Dr. Dice waited. He took the stuff into the convention center because we both were smart and brought carts for all of our crap. I bungee
Good.
corded my shit down, took it into the thing, got past security. I went and dropped the car off, walked the half mile back to my site, back to my room. And then Wednesday was set up and kind of sit around and talk with people. Some people were kind of coming in and playing some games on Wednesday, but it was just a very mellow Wednesday night. It was really kind of fun just sitting around, seeing everybody come in and talking. Thursday, we were in the room, and while we like doing demos, we were hoping that we weren't going to do a lot of demos. We didn't do as many as we did in Schaumburg, but we did a lot. I think I stopped doing demos sometime around 9:30 at night. They were longer demos, and thank God for Josh and Zach. Zach was down there doing demos. I was doing it, but the thing and it wasn't necessarily all people that were kicking that GCT were kicking down to us from their booth, although there were a decent number. It was my wording for the event, which said we would do demos. For long story short, so I had a lot of people coming in. Well, we paid to do demos. I'm like, okay, come on, we'll do demos. But the flip side of that was Gordon from GCT, the owner, one of the main owners of GCT. They were cleaning out their storage area that they have here in the States because basically consolidating into a different storage area, and the person who was doing it for them discovered this box of first edition blisters. Just a giant box. There had to be like 100 or so figures in that box.
More than that, but yeah.
There was a lot. Plus, that just the box, and then there's like another 10, 20 Silver Moon starters from the first edition. So
The
everybody who
best.
came in, yeah, exactly. Everyone who came in got a blister, and for some of them, they got like 5 blisters because we had 3 demo tables set up, and they were very non-traditional demos. It was more kind of doing a thematic, and we are teaching them through the rules. So we had one that was princesses versus blood brothers. We had another one that had 3 figures, basically the components of the 2-player starter set. And then I forget what the third one was. It was a little more of a balanced demo. It was Ito versus.
Shiho, probably.
No, 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 no. We tried to keep it less complex.
Was it just
Well,
a
the wolves, I
two-player
mean,
starter
like the
set?
No, it
Tanakas.
wasn't even the worlds. No, it wasn't even one of the starter sets. It was like 3 Shiho models or not 3 Shiho, 3 Ito models, and no, it wasn't Minimoto. Maybe it was. I'm trying to remember what I had on hand, or Zach had on. Not Zach. Josh had on hand. Anyway, that was a more traditional demo setup. Was that third table? But if you played the Princess and Blood Brothers table, because they had so many of the Blood Brothers and Princesses, you got a full set of Blood Brothers if you played Blood Brothers, and you got a full set of Princesses if you played the Princess for about 3 or 4 demos, and then we ran out. But then, and go pick another blister because otherwise I got a crap ton of blisters. And thanks Sean Emberley and his OCD-ness, he sorted all of the figures out by faction and by figure, so that way it was easier to make the selection of everything. So the Bushido community came out in spades and really helped out with doing that kind of stuff, and having the support. But I think between me and Josh, we must have sent, for the people who signed up to do the demos, I think just doing the demos and giving away the free figures, people still on that Thursday dropped a couple grand in the booth for the people who did demos with us and then went upstairs and bought more stuff. So super, super happy and successful with that. But it was a long day, long, long day. Which then I went back to the hotel and passed out. Then was Friday, and Friday was the Grandmasters. The Grandmasters is it's always fun because I get to see people that have come back. I get to run the event, and it's fun, but it is very, very stressful, and there's always some kind of drama involved with it. And this year was no exception. But we got through it, and we will. And every experience and every Grandmasters that gets run, we learn another lesson about, and so hopefully next year it'll go even smoother than it did this year. But in the end, we crowned a new grand grandmaster for North America, someone who has not been grandmaster before. So that was great. It's great to see new blood coming in. In fact, the top 4 or 5 was a mixture of old players and new players in there, or top 6, I would say. Chicago Meta's still going strong. We had our guys in the top 6, so I was really happy to do that. So it was really great to see. And I think we're going to have some good things for Bushido next year. We're in talks with Gordon and the different people, Brian Ching down in Dallas, running that the DFW Bushido group. They are growing like crazy, and he's going to be helping out. Josh is going to probably be taking a major load on, doing a major lift for that next year, and Art will always still be there, lending a hand where he can. So we're looking forward to seeing what we're going to be able to do for next year. But that was Friday, and after that, I was tanked. I'm just glad that it didn't end up like last year where I had events. I had 2 events on Saturday, and I just said, screw it. I have 0 energy and 0 willpower to do anything on Saturday. But I will say, what time we got it? Because I think we met up with Dennis and our other buds, and we were going to do dinner. We're sitting in the lobby of the Hilton until like 1:30 in the morning watching terrible local weather woman.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Well,
how bad was
we'll
she?
just leave it at
No.
There was a reason she was on it at 1 a.m, Jace. We'll just leave it at that.
She seemed like she's a perfectly nice person.
She's a very nice person, but there's a reason why she's on overnight weather for a weird cable station, whatever, that probably has like 10 viewers at best, and 1 stalker. Um,
Always.
but we got to bed late. I think we didn't get going to the con until after 10:30 because it was just like, there's no fucking way I'm moving.
Well, no. So the funny thing was, I had an event that morning too. I was supposed to do Port Royal with the Firelock guys,
Same with
and
me,
and I'll
except I had nothing.
and I'll tell you what, I had painted the figs. They looked nice, and I was like, no, no, I I'm not. No, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't.
It was just yeah. Again,
Yeah.
it was a long, long day. Um, so we got out. I went and did my. I will say I did on Thursday. I did a quick run through and pretty much bought the things that I was going to buy at Adepticon, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, it was just run through. Then we did the Cyberpunk event, which I went 0 for 3 in spectacular fashion. Uh, honestly, the first event was with a wonderful guy, a painter, and he just steamrolled me hard. That was a difficult scenario. The second one was a newer player like me. He was playing Maelstrom, I was playing Maelstrom, and it ended up just being perfect because we just beat the crap out of each other, and which was the goal of the mission, really. And he just happened to, I wasn't paying attention to somebody, and I should have refreshed earlier than I did, and so he got me. The third one, I wasn't sure how that one was going to go. That one, I wish we would have had a little more time because I thought that player was going to just rickroll me. Um, but it ended up being a lot tighter than I thought it would be. He took out two. It was down to where I had this. So the objective was you had three figures essentially, two that you choose, one that your opponent chooses, and they were the targets that you have to take out. When you take them out, the game ends. He promptly got two of mine, but I had my other one extremely well hidden, and it was the net runner. And I just slowly was with the guys that were left. I was just slowly chewing through him. And putting him into very interesting places that he wasn't expecting. Although his location of his missile launcher was probably going to make it very difficult for me to win, but whatever. It was a lot closer than I thought, so it was enjoyable. And then Saturday we just kind of hung out. I would have liked to have done some more Saturday night gaming. That's what we did on Wednesday. We played a lot of Arena Rex in the Bushido room. We set up about 2 or 3 Arena Rex boards, and we were playing Arena Rex, which is always fun.
Oh yeah, Cody and I played Magic. Yeah, that's
yeah, and the Magic. We're just enjoying ourselves. Would have liked to have done that more, but Saturday we were going to meet up with people and play some more Arena Rex, but instead we went wandering. We went into the Grand Hall to see everything because I really hadn't seen much of the hall. Ran into Tony Marvola from You Got Your Monologuing and his painting table. We ran into the Grand Hall, saw some War Machine going on. Then we stopped and talked with Walker from Arena Rex, and that conversation lasted a lot longer than we thought. So by the time we got to the hall, the guys that we were going to game with, they're like, "Oh, we're playing a different game." It's like, well, all right. And so that was it. And then Sunday was just quick go around the hall and do some shopping and talk to people and whatnot, and then hit the road at around 2 o'clock, get home and pass out and thank God that I had the day off the next day.
Yeah, mistakes were made there on my part.
Always take the day off the Monday off.
Not only did I work, I had to go do visits.
Oh no.
Yeah, I done messed up.
No,
Yeah,
I will say
epically.
I got lucky, and because I didn't so I was supposed to for work go to Philadelphia for a show, which a quarter of those people who went to Philadelphia came down with COVID.
No.
I did not. Knock on wood, I did not catch anything from Adepticon, so I was very happy.
It's medicine.
Yeah,
Of course.
I did not have any Malort. Some events and things that I would have liked to. Looking around, there were a lot of things I would love to be able to do more Arena Rex, but it's just at a weird time, and I just can't get to it. While I don't play the game, I will be honest and say that I would love, and it would be something that would drag me into it, and I could even see myself playing competitively crappily, would be Legion. Oh my God, this is one of the things
Star
we
Wars
did.
Legion?
Yeah, we went walking around the AMG section of Adepticon. Those boards.
really pretty.
Oh my God, the Shatterpoint ones were very samey because the terrain is very samey, but the Legion boards,
Well, the terrain doesn't matter in Shatterpoint, I thought, pretty much. It's
it
kind of
does
like
and
just
doesn't.
optional.
It
It
does.
does and doesn't. But these boards were absolutely gorgeous. Like this one here, and then give me a second here.
Well, and I know for a lot of the boards, at least with the AMG stuff, and then the GW stuff, the Adepticon spray team and Adepticon as a whole provide a lot of the terrain for that.
So we'll
Mhm.
talk about that. I was going to have us talk about some shopping things, but I think we're just going to talk about the Adepticon experience in Milwaukee in general and this con just after I kind of go through this. Um, the Adepticon team does the 40K terrain. I believe the AMG crew does their terrain. Now, Adepticon may pony some stuff in there, but it was very interesting, and I've been listening to a lot of other podcasts this past week. This board was also redonkulous, and we didn't even get into the ones that they were doing for taping, that they were filming. I think do I have any? No. Oh, and they even had a view. That was what I thought was amazing is
Oh,
AMG had
nice.
a viewing area. So if you were wanting to watch some of these games from the higher end tables or whatnot, you could sit back by the snack area, and it was like a theater. They had each different game system on a different screen.
Oh,
So
so it's like a sports bar.
it's like a sports bar.
Kind
If
of,
you just
yeah.
have, except they don't have Hooter girls in
We
Hooters
can make that.
or
We can make that
or
happen.
Tilted Kilt up in Milwaukee. Uh, but yeah, they had this going, and it was just really neat. Um, so yeah, that was my Adepticon experience, and that's one game I would love to play. I did not get to play anything else. I was supposed to try and do Into the Unknown for Star Trek. Didn't make that. What was the other event I was supposed to? Oh, I didn't even get to play Leviathans. Luckily, I got to do that when I got back to home base a week later. Got to play some Leviathans, but I was looking forward to doing Leviathans. Didn't do that either. Got a great demo of a game that I did get to play, and then ended up spending a boatload of money on that was unexpected, which we'll talk about when we do our shopping. So to throw things up, let's throw things out to the crowd here. So I'm going to change up. Instead of talking about our shopping, let's just talk about Gen Con,
Gen Con.
Ooh.
Adepticon Milwaukee 2025. How was it compared to Schaumburg? Thumbs up. So Dr.
Yeah.
Dice is a thumbs up.
Oh God, yes.
Sprout Cody, yes.
Yeah, you know what? You don't know what you're missing until such time as you get to try something new, right? And that whole grass is always greener expression. Guess what? The grass was greener. Schaumburg, suck it, Trebek. Milwaukee is awesome. That venue is phenomenal. The different areas of the convention, like this is a legitimate convention center. Lots of separate rooms, lots of places to do and see things. And I'll tell you what, as this convention continues to grow, there's going to be more room in that vendor hall. So you're going to see more vendors in there, more game systems. People are going to be more comfortable because I think this is a feeling out year, right?
It
and
is.
It's raving success.
It
so
is.
I'm so thrilled.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And one of the funny things, I guess, so like Moonstone and Bushido, we were on the new side, and then
Yes.
you go straight up, and there's the vendor hall and everything. So it wasn't until Friday night, like late, that I realized there was another half of the convention, and that's where like
Whole
Free
section.
Blades and War Machine and Open Play.
I didn't even know where the Grand Hall was.
Yeah, Fort
The Grand
Wapple,
Hall
all
was
of
like
that.
going into the Grand Ballroom at the Schaumburg at the
Yeah.
hotel, except it was bigger.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I was wondering why it didn't seem like that congested. And even that half, like there's a ton of people over there and plenty of room. I never felt crowded. Even the vendor hall, the aisles were bigger, and it was nice. There was only a few times just people being people, you go 7 wide in the aisle and stop and all have a conversation. It gets a little old, but
Saturday was congested with the normal stroller crowd coming in, which
Yep.
is fine. It's great to see that they're bringing the kids in and
Yeah.
whatnot. The stroller and adult stroller crowd,
Yeah.
there were that too.
Guilty.
So I had no complaints about that, but I'm gonna be the first one that I have to eat crow to a certain degree. So one of the things that I was getting on the case of actually other YouTubers, other influencers and whatnot. They were talking about how Schaumburg, there's no place to eat in Schaumburg, and there's nothing nearby. And I'm like, no, dudes, there really is. But you just don't want to walk the half mile, which you're going to have to do in Milwaukee. Having said that, I will eat my crow now for to a certain degree. In some ways, I'm not wrong, but in a lot of ways, I am. First, they had the tents for food inside the hall. So they had a lot
Oh,
of
nice.
restaurants set up in the hall. Genius idea. I know why they weren't able to do that at the Schaumburg Convention Center because it's owned by the hotel, and the hotel wants to control the food there. But the city of
Also, there's no
Milwaukee,
room for that at Schaumburg.
and that's there also isn't much. They could have put it in the front end of the convention center, that front hallway, which was basically the walk-in for the AMG section. There was
Yeah.
some room there once they cleared out all the swag bag crap
Yeah.
on day one. Otherwise, yeah, they would just have to do food trucks. But beside that, that's Schaumburg. It's over and done with
Right.
in the past.
Sorry.
So they had, having the little vendors there, it was great. I did not get to taste the yummy pizza. I heard the sushi was good. Some other people were talking about some of the other things, so it sounded like the food was really decent there.
Yeah.
Restaurants within walking distance. So there was our hotel restaurant. There's a couple other hotel restaurant. There was the barbecue, and there was Major Goolsby's. Those are the ones that I would say were in the immediate, extremely close by, and Club Calderon was within 1 to 2 blocks. 1 to 2
Okay.
blocks, minimal walking. According to Cody, Club Calderon, no bueno. I have nostalgia. I like Club Calderon, but you have to know what you want to order.
He's got no nostalgia for Maters over here.
Maters is a
Christ
4-block walk.
raviolis.
Maters is a 4-block walk that would be the same as going to get our Korean chicken at the Schaumburg. So that one,
That's
take that one off the table. Just sweep it away. That doesn't count.
Korean chicken's worth
Okay.
it.
Korean
Okay.
chicken is absolutely worth it. Maters, not. Major Goolsby's, that's what we ate on Wednesday. It sat well. It did not sit well when I had it on Thursday.
It's 'cause
So
you order weird stuff.
I ordered the same damn thing I ordered the night before.
Nah, I don't know about
It
that.
just was cold. So I had the cheeseburger and I had the sweet potato tots. That was it, and
That's
just
weird.
it did not sit well.
Okay.
Oh, was that the bag that Josh poured the Visine into?
It
Yeah.
might have been. Oh, well, that would explain things. Thanks, Josh.
Rangus!
Oh,
Oh, I know. Believe me, I know.
I know. But anyway,
Remember, I was rooming with you.
yes,
Oh
yes, you were.
God, Josh.
But
He didn't. We're joking.
No.
but so
I could
so
believe
there,
it
there
though.
there are some restaurants there. The one thing that I will say, and it's going to be something that they'll improve on, is the service. They were not prepared for the crowd. We were talking with the server at the barbecue place. That was literally just you walk out one door and you're at the barbecue. I forget Doc something or another.
Yeah.
We were talking to the server. He's like, "Yeah, Wednesday I was the only server here in the afternoon, and they did not expect a couple thousand people to be showing up and looking to eat, and I was the only server for like 4 hours." I'm like, "Dude, I am so sorry for you. That had to be hell."
But his tips were
Um,
good though.
I
No, they
would hope
weren't. You
so.
kidding me? It's gamers.
True.
Some of them are, some of
Games
them
are
aren't.
cheap.
Yeah, they're some of them are, some of them aren't. But again, I think that they will have a better gauge of that, and so the service will be good. So there are restaurants that are nearby. They will be swamped. I think it took us an hour and something to get in on Saturday night for dinner, and then it took forever for them to serve us.
Yeah, I'm never going back there.
And again, it is a
I had desert fries.
Gobi. Yeah, man.
Yeah. I would have rather licked sandpaper than eat those fries again.
It probably actually, I think those things were, those like desiccant packets that they put inside of things that have a lot of cardboard in them, so
Yeah.
that it doesn't. Yeah, they probably like sprinkled that on the fries.
Probably.
Because honestly, you had the one fry and like all the moisture left your mouth immediately.
I know.
so
Oh, they ought to serve those in dentist offices.
they
That would
might,
be amazing.
Yeah,
they might
absolutely.
do that.
No, I think I would have rather had gas station sushi.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's a tough call. So from a restaurant standpoint, was it again, I'm so used to going home every night that the restaurant thing wasn't a big deal for me. I guess it's a leg up. I think most people were happy with it. I think next year if I'm not as pressurized at doing Bushido event stuff, I'll be able to go to other restaurants and check things out. But again, you have limited options within quick walking distance, and they're all going to be crowded because everybody wants to walk there. And we don't have official word yet, and it was really hard to gauge because I'll say it didn't feel like there were a lot of people there, but the rumors that are coming out is there were a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if it's because they're able to take a more accurate count because security was a lot higher. I know security was something that we were all concerned with because of the alcohol policy. I think we've all discovered one, when you're doing move-in day on Wednesday and you're coming in with giant crates of terrain and crap, they really don't inspect that well.
Good to know. That was going to be my question.
I
Is
think we had
how hard were they cracking down on that?
You
They
know what? They were checking.
they
They
were
were
checking.
checking. They were seeing what people had. But at the end of the day, they don't want to hold up the line too much either. And I
Mhm.
think the thing is, it's just kind of like the 80-20 rule, right? You just want to make sure that people aren't coming in with things that maybe they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And I don't even know that the booze was that big a deal necessarily. They checked.
Yeah.
I had Diet Cokes. They didn't care. I had
No,
coffee.
no, the Diet
care.
Cokes and water, it was
Yeah.
specifically, and I remember hearing people talking about it. It was specifically the alcohol that they wanted to stop coming in
I don't
Yeah.
know. 'Cause
because of liability issues,
I brought
Yeah.
a cooler in every day. I didn't have any alcohol in it, but I
which
brought a
was fine.
cooler in every day, and they never even opened it. Like you could tell it was a cooler, but they just looked at it and they're like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah, there were some day it depended on who was there. There was the first day or two, like the Wednesday, Thursday crew, they kinda let you just skate through. The Friday, Saturday, old guy who's the former cop,
Yeah,
he was cracking the whip over people, and so things were a little more restrictive, but
yeah. It was
again,
really weird when they pulled me to the side for a cavity search. But whatever.
they were looking for weapons because 'cause you're going through the scanners and everything like that, which was totally different. That was something that you never saw at Schaumburg, but then again, this is the difference between a hotel-run convention center run by a smallish to medium-sized city as compared to a large urban city's state-run, county-run convention center that can house 30,000. So it was a difference.
Yeah.
Overall, and again, like I said, I had done a convention or two prior to COVID, but when it was the Wisconsin Center, so it was just basically the North Building. The South Building is built on the bones of the old Mecca Center, um, which was the convention center that hosted Gen Con from '84 to 2002. The only reason I remember is Kilbourne is the street that used to run alongside the Mecca Center, and now it runs alongside the Baird Center. Um, so it's basically they have two convention centers slapped together because the Mecca Center still would have been bigger than, and the Wisconsin Center alone would have been bigger than the Schaumburg Convention Center, but now you have two very large buildings that can house stuff, and I don't even think they used. It will be very interesting to see what happens next year. Again, not it did not feel crowded. I am really wondering what the numbers are going to be. I thought the numbers were going to flatten out from Adepticon last year, and Adepticon at Schaumburg last year was towing over the 8,000 line.
Yeah, I think it was
8,000 was
8,500,
85 or 9,000
and
or
that's
something
just
like that,
registered though.
which is always the hard part with Adepticon because you never know. Especially at Schaumburg, it was hard for them to take a people count.
Right.
Whereas the Wisconsin Center, that's going to be with the Baird Center, it's going to be interesting because again, the heightened security, they could get a better head count. Registered at Adepticon is always an interesting number. So I was figuring because a lot of people were kind of sour in our local area about going up there. I think they still went, and they maybe went for a day, which means they bought a badge, which still counts as numbers. Um, if you said that there were 10 to 12,000 people there, I could totally believe it, but it totally did not feel it.
The rumor I heard was about 10.
Damn.
The rumor that I heard
For
was
for attendees or just overall people walking in and out?
Registered.
Just
Okay.
registered.
That's impressive. I figured that it was going to take a dip, to be quite honest myself.
I thought it
Oh,
was going
well,
to stay the same
plateau.
ish, just because new venue, people, logistics, all of that stuff and whatnot. But
Yeah.
I mean, even if we got 2, 3, 4,000 more, like you said, Greg. Like it did not feel like that. It felt like there was 7,000, except for at lunchtime and dinner time.
Yeah, or in sometime and it felt the only time it really felt crowded was and I can't really speak too much for Friday because I wasn't able to get up into the vendor hall, but Saturday in the vendor hall felt crowded. That was about the only time
Yeah,
I would say it was a thing that that it felt I could feel the crush of people, but even late night, it kinda cleared out. Even when they had the parade of armies, they just had it in a much easier to go to place, so that it didn't seem like it was like when you're trying to go
Mhm.
from the Schomburg Center,
yeah,
the hotel through that hall where they're doing the parade of armies, it's like, "Oh, forget that."
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll just go upstairs and pray to God that I don't fall off the
Mhm.
walkway or something.
yeah,
Um, so that felt good. The grand hall now, granted, we got in there and everything was pretty much wrapped up by the time me and Eric hit the grand hall on Saturday. Um, but that place is enormous and the aisles are there. They still have the chair problem, which, I- you know, which I think was, going to happen every
yeah,
place. But and the open gaming area was much larger than the normal
Mhm.
open gaming area.
yeah, yeah. That was, and it was packed the
Yeah,
whole
a
time.
lot of people doing stuff
It
all
was
the
just
time.
like I was Free Blades was right next to it on Saturday, and even Sunday when I went back down there, like it, there was no open tables.
Mhm.
I mean, exaggerating a little bit, you could easily go up and get a game, but it was just packed.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So again, I think all of us can report to gaming Jason. Milwaukee will be a good experience.
Yeah,
So
and
next year
Boo.
you're going.
yeah, and I
We'll
will
find a
say
way.
with the food tents, I tried. What did we try? 3 of them, 4 of them, something like
Mhm.
that. They had the one up on the main floor that had the spicy pork bowl. It was like $17, but it was a massive portion.
Okay.
So me and Josh actually split it. We just asked for an extra bowl, and that was plenty. And then the sushi was actually really good, um, decently priced. They
Good.
had a poke bowl where you got to make your own poke bowl, whatever,
Nice.
downstairs. That was decent. Spicy pork was the best. And
Good.
then even the um, convention center, they had their little stands with like pop and brats and
Yeah.
whatnot. So we actually got a brat and sauerkraut, and it was like
Well, there
ballpark
was going to be
quality. It was
one
good.
thing that was going to be good in the convention center in Milwaukee. It better damn well be brats and
I,
sauerkraut. All right, that's the
I,
one thing I guarantee they ain't going to screw up.
yeah, but I mean, just for it being like they're just boiling them, it's not like they're doing anything special. It was really good. It wasn't like a cheap, you know, crappy brat. It was decent quality.
So the only thing I'll say about the food and the shopping experience, and I don't know whether it was, I think it was Wednesday night when we were playing Arena Rex in the Bushido room. I needed to get something to eat. I had to get a snack in because it was getting about 9 o'clock, and they had a little area where you could go and you could buy stuff. I had never done this kind of shopping before. It's like, okay, do I put my card in? But I haven't bought anything, and how do I get into this? And the
Oh,
dude's
like
just
the
like,
Amazon
jump
Go
the
store?
gate, just jump the gate.
Oh,
Yeah, it
like
was
the
like an
Amazon Go
Fresh
store or
Market.
It
whatever?
Yeah.
was, yeah, it's Amazon Market. Well, you
Oh.
know what? You're not the only person that had that problem. When I was outside sitting down having the call with the wife, um, there was some poor guy who was just looking back and forth and he couldn't figure out what to do. And there were two
Probably
different
art.
sides of this thing. One side was it wanted your palm, it wanted
Yeah.
biometrics. The other side was just you tap your credit card. And he's like, I don't want to give them my biometrics. I'm like,
You're like,
just tap your credit card, dude. Just tap your credit card. It's fine. And he was like, oh, I can eat now. I'm like, yeah, go, you can eat now.
the door opens, and then it's like, all right, but how does it know? How am I going to pay for this? I'm pulling things. There's no one here to take my stuff. I kind of feel like I'm stealing, but I'm not. And then
Nope,
I
it's the
leave, and
people over they take the camera, the people over in India double check what you stole, and then they charge your credit card. That's how it works.
I
ah,
I feel like it's
Supposedly, they have some other scales and shit that they do, but they also like, oh yeah,
I
no,
didn't put it on anything.
they
They just
subcontract that shit out to India, basically, in the
no,
Philippines.
I kind of got the impression that it was kind of like in the hotel when they've got the pressure sensitive bar. for
Mhm.
snacks. And you pick up the snack and it's like, okay, you just get church for M&Ms. Kind of like something like that.
I
Or
was a
there's
little
Spencer's
worried.
when you walk out, whatever. The point is, it's easy.
It's
It's
once I figured out how to get past the door, yeah, it was a tremendously easy, but I'm just sitting there. Thank God there weren't like people behind me because, like I said, some guys going down the escalator. Just jump the fence. Just jump it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I actually
Okay.
thought about it for like a split second, but yeah. So that was my funny old man Milwaukee story. All right, so moving on, shopping. Do we overspend? Do we underspend? What were some of the things that we looked at in booth that we were looking forward to and maybe couldn't buy? I'll sum up my shopping really, really quick. And then I'll save one to talk about after you guys talk about. So I went in on Thursday while I was doing the open play. I got about a 15-minute run through and I got everything that I wanted to get that was on my mind I wanted to get. So I got my Sayanin elves for Warcrow, and I bought the whole bundle plus the bundle was the starter, a curtailer pack, the exclusive Grand Marshal Captain figure, and I bought a second unit of curtailers. So that way I had everything that they had out, plus I had the full AV for the curtailers. I bought the cute little measuring device too, just because. And then moved on, and then I went to the Cyberpunk booth, which I'll show some pictures for in a little bit while we're talking, and purchased the Santo Domingo gang, which I was debating whether to get, and I thought, no, I'm going to get it because they have a general cards and equipment pack that I could use with my other gangs. And then I bought what did I buy? The Piranhas, which will work with my zoners, and on the off chance I get Bozos, which I won't get. So that had pretty much wrapped up my shopping. I swung by GCT. I'm not a fan of the aesthetic of the new Ryu funerary box set,
Yeah.
so that was easy to resist. And they didn't have Lord Toad, so double easy to resist. And then I got my butt back down to the Bushido area and did demos. More demos. All right, so BrushelSprout, Cody, what did you shop?
Well, I was going to spend a lot of money, and I actually behaved. It was
Whoa.
you wait until you got
That-
home to spend more.
Yeah, that doesn't count as Adepticon spending.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the total after is about the same as what I spent there. So anyway, yeah, well, I bought the Adepticon, and then I'm walking around, and I told everybody, I was like, guys, we got to check out this booth. I've been following them for a long time, and we gotta go. And they had warp minis. I know Greg's
hang on,
gonna,
I got it. I'll put it up right now. Hold on.
But they're the whimsical. They're like, you get the Moonstone feel with the whimsical, but they're a little bit more serious. It's a narrative game, and the models are awesome. The warp team, Arc World, they're fantastic. Alex and everyone that was working the booth, and half of us bought without even doing a demo. And then I know Dr. Dice went over, did a demo, and then before I know it, like the rest of our group was buying. And then I even got some of my Freeblades buddies into it. So like I made them a lot of money.
Good man.
So
Good man.
yeah, that was kind of I knew that they were there, so I was gonna spend money no matter what with them. But I wasn't expecting the response from the rest of the group. And the figures are just they're fantastic. They're mostly one piece. The beast box that you see in the above picture there is the leader dude is multiple pieces, and then all the tails are separate. And I know the box that Dr. Dice got with the giant flaming Dark Lord is multiple piece, but so far everything else has been one piece, which has been kind of nice. And yeah, just awesome company, awesome people. So that was like the big thing. And then there's a new game that is it's like a solo TTRPG weird thing that it's actually on Kickstarter now. It's called Sunrot, and you can solo play. It's like 1 to 4. It's quick, fast paced, and it's the grimdark vibe. And I was just like, I'm gonna go check it out. And they had a decent deal, so I got the game, the course, the upgrade pack. They had an art book, which is just fantastic. There's a bunch of weird conversions and stuff in it, and um, then they were doing blind boxes, so it was like $10 or something, and you just got a random figure.
Okay.
So I bought a handful of those, and I got they're fantastic. They like I can't really see, but it's just this little fish dude with crab claws, and then like there's a giant fat dude that like they just put random bits in. So like he's got a crab claw, and then he's holding a fish in the other hand, and just stuff like that. It's just fantastic, stupid
Okay.
stuff. Um, so yeah, those were like the big 2 purchases, and then what else did I buy? I went to GCT. I bought the Minimoto bust that they had from last year.
Okay.
Oh, so they
And
actually
Yeah.
made that as a sale item?
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
same
nice.
thing, the bust this year will go up for sale next year. So that's the bust.
It's a
Can't really
Minimoto.
see, but
Mhm.
You didn't get a chance
um,
to get the Kato bust
I
or the
no,
Kato
I
large
do
figure?
have the Kato. Where did he go?
Oh, you did get it. Okay.
Yeah, he's somewhere on my desk here, but whatever. I saw the box and I was like, "Hey, what's that about?" And they're like, "Oh, we just messed around, printed it in 54 millimeters," and I was like, "Sold." Uh,
Oh. It's
so
cool looking. It really is kind of cool looking at that scale.
yeah, that was I was like perfect. And then like you, the Ryu stuff that came out, they're cool, but I also the vibe wasn't there, and then it was also a secret playtest project, and so
Mm,
I refused to purchase that just for those reasons.
that's
Yeah.
fine. Again, for me, it was purely based on the aesthetic. I just did not. It wasn't vibing the look.
Yeah,
That's all for me.
it's that, and I just don't want to let the kinks get out. Of it was the same thing with like Kimchi. I mean, I bought those right away, but it was so confusing just with the new mechanics and all that. So
Kinshi's a whole
Yeah.
special
yeah,
level of confusion on that. That was
That was interesting.
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And then I guess the last thing that I bought there was War Machine because it's back.
Ah,
Oh,
yes, War Machine. Hold on. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. I remember us you guys talking about that, about bringing back War Machine.
Yeah, I picked up the Orgoth cadre. I mean, I think it was like $100, which
Yeah.
for the most part, it's not bad. I was like, I'm not going crazy. I'm only gonna buy this. Of course, I bought more when I got home.
Of
Um,
course.
Look through all the old stuff that you couldn't trade off from Barter Town when you got all that free stuff.
I think this is
no,
the painting competition, but it's still
yeah, that's the painting competition. The that colossal actually got first place. So
I could
Oh
believe
shit,
it.
yeah,
Isn't that
that's not Stormbringer. It's
No, no,
it's
no.
Signar, but I don't know what.
yeah, I know it's a
Yeah,
Signar one. I just don't know what that colossal is. I haven't seen
no?
that
It's
one.
something new. It's
I think
something.
it's a new one, yeah.
Oh
The
shit,
yeah,
the,
okay.
uh, the little dude right there in the middle on the piece of paper. I think that was the convention exclusive, right?
yeah. There was a couple people that actually got those painted up and entered. Like they got them Wednesday night, and they sat in Fort Wapple and painted, and then entered up in the competition.
There you go.
That's what you gotta love about Adepticon.
Yeah,
You
but
know, just crazy.
Well, I guess
yeah,
have you guys looked at the rules for the new War Machine? Because I haven't bothered looking at it. Is it still kind of like you still infantry spam, or did they like retool it so
it,
it's worth actually like taking just basically Jackson War Beast, and then maybe you'll take like a unit of something and with a solo?
I would say the balance is better from what I saw, but there is still quite a bit of infantry, but the squad size is smaller. So, you used to have like 10-man squads, now they're
Hmm.
like 3 or 5.
Okay, that's better.
So,
So
yeah,
basically, it used to be, like
It was 6 and
the
10.
shock troopers were 3 to 5 man squads. So now that's the standard for everything. It sounds
Yeah.
like.
yeah. And just I walked around quite a bit watching the different games being played and whatnot, and there was a really good balance between the current. I don't remember the exact if it's Prime or Legacy, whatever.
Hmm.
So the actual Mark IV stuff that's come out, there's a good balance between that and then the old stuff. Like I saw a Scorn player, I saw an actual Legion player, not the new Chimera or whatever.
Mhm.
So that was kind of nice that like those armies are still like competitive. So if you have the old stuff, you can still play.
Which I found your old stuff.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for it. I don't necessarily know if it's gonna take over as a primary game. Probably just because I'm competitive, so whatever. But it just reliving those good times, hopefully, because Mark II was an absolute blast.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you were on the tail end of Mark II. We
Yeah,
were through the heyday of
yeah.
Mark
I
II.
missed all the good stuff in Mark II,
Oh,
but
those were fun times. Those were
yeah,
fun times.
it was still good. It was good community, everything, and I mean, I just like playing the different games.
Mhm.
The smaller skirmish. This is definitely not a small skirmish game, but you know,
It's not, well, I would say it's not 40K sized.
right?
Yeah,
It's
but I
not
mean,
full army size. It was the better guess, but it's at the
it's
upper end of a skirmish.
It
I was gonna
depends on
say it's
if
like
I'm going to
small
the
army.
store and I only need to bring one list. I'd classify it as a little bit more than skirmish, but not quite. If I'm doing a tournament and I got to bring two, it's army. It's not skirmish.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to bring two.
No, but I want to.
Oh,
But
there you go. All right. All right.
but
So,
yeah, I think that was pretty much everything.
okay.
Obviously, since being home, I purchased more Arc World, I purchased more
Mhm.
War Machine, and then I didn't get a chance to go to the booth for Monument Hobbies and get the
Oh, yeah.
new paint set.
That's what I forgot. Yeah.
Um, I've been really enjoying the Pro Acryl line. It's
Mhm.
just working with my paint style and everything, so I've actually been converting everything over to them.
Okay.
I still like the Army Painter Fanatic line. I'll pick up some of those just so I don't have to mix certain colors, but
Okay.
like Vallejo, GW, two thin coats, all that, meh, not for me.
Got it.
Um,
I'm still contrast boy, not contrast. Contrast boy, but I do have to admit I'm probably getting rid of my VA although all my VA were old and crappy. I'll probably end up getting rid of my regular GW paints. There are a couple privateer paints which it pained me that they didn't sell them at the con. I'll let
yeah.
Eric talk about that. Or was it you, Cody? You went up, grabbed two pots, and then walked to the counter like, those aren't for sale, dude.
Was Brian?
No, it was Brian. He sat there
Oh,
for a
that's
good
right.
like 15 minutes shaking pots, like pondering how many of these freaking paints he's gonna buy. And they're just
Zero, bitch. Zero. That's the number.
their displays like 10 paints deep,
Yeah, it was like a full rack you'd see in a hobby store, just
What
yeah.
stacked to
the
the brim
hell?
with paint.
And the dude working the booth, I mean, he was an idiot. I don't care. He was dumb as box of rocks. He sat there and watched Brian for the 15 minutes. Brian walks over, and then the guy's like, "Oh, that's just display only." And Brian's like, "Well, you couldn't have told me that."
I was enjoying watching you, so that way I had this
Yeah,
moment.
it was
Problem.
the same thing. Like, so I went up there to enter into the painting competition on Thursday, and the same idiots work in the booth. And I'm like, well, can I enter the painting competition? He's like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And the chick's at lunch. I'm like, can I just enter the painting competition? And he like, no, you'll have to come back. I'm like, great, because I don't really have time for that because I'm on break
Mhm.
between rounds.
Right.
Luckily, I was able to get up there still, but
Yeah.
what happens when you lose quick? But then I had a third interaction with him, and I was asking the name of the Orgoth Colossal, and he's like, I don't know the names of anything. He's like, I don't know what we have here. I'm just here. I'm like, yeah, obviously, you're a bump on a log. Like, I was just dumb. But yeah,
Spoonforge, baby. They're scraping the barrel for talent apparently to work their
I
booth.
think they just picked a hobo off the street and stuck him in
It's
the
very
booth and said,
possible.
"Here, have fun." Like,
But they had an impressive sized booth. I mean, they had a good sized booth. It felt like the old large privateer press. So they were
yeah.
making a big splash for sure.
I mean, other than that one guy, the rest of the people that I talked to in the booth, the lady that did the painting
Mhm.
competition entries and all of that, even the judge that I spoke to when I picked up my piece, like all of them absolutely phenomenal. It's just that one guy just like soured the whole
There's
experience.
always that one guy for a booth or
Yeah.
company. All right, so Dr. Dice, what was your shopping experience like?
Well, I also went to Monster Fight Club. I wanted to make sure that I got myself those con exclusives. They had a couple of interesting little con exclusives. In addition to that, they also had a con exclusive for The Witcher, and there is a Witcher game that's going to be coming out. And
Let me
so
get
I
that
was
for you
excited
really
about
quick.
that.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
You know what? If
I'm
you,
getting
yeah,
there. Yeah.
let's talk about this one real quick. Well, okay.
Okay, go back to that. That's
So yeah,
fine.
so there's a Witcher game coming out right now. They've got like some Witcher figs available, but there will be a Witcher game coming out, and that's going to be really really good. I don't really have I'm not at liberty to talk details right now, but hopefully in the not too distant future we can.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I was hoping they were going to do demos at the show with it, but they weren't. But just seeing the figures again. Haven't played the video games, haven't read the books. I've watched the Cavill series on Netflix and enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this will be like.
And
Oh,
Monster Fight
it's
Club
great.
has the rights to doing the game for this one, or is this like another the Steam Forge?
No, it's
No,
Monster
no.
Fight Club.
Monster
Oh.
Fight Club has the ability to do that. Yeah, they
Okay,
got the
good.
rights for this. So yeah. So there's this, and then also I had the opportunity to talk to John, who is the owner of Monster Fight Club. John, this big, tall, hulking gentleman,
Yeah.
and we're talking about the combat zone. This is the new terrain set that they're going to be putting out on Kickstarter, and so I think it's called Metropolis 2.0. I think I'm Mac, who's the line developer. I think one of the head guys for Cyberpunk in the background there. And so this is really going to be just a really excellent terrain set. I'm really interested to see what it goes for, but I'm kind of scared. As far as modularity, it's fantastic.
Oh
It
yeah.
looks like you could basically connect everything, and everything you see there has quick connect and disconnect. So all the little air conditioners, the gribbly bits on all the buildings, all of those
Let me see if I got
containers that
some
they're
pipe.
walking across on top. I mean, it is wild. It is absolutely wild, and I think it's going to be just fantastic to play on. So, and we were actually talking about doing a little bit of a side project, but we're not going to be doing it with this stuff because that would be way too expensive. But we might use this for like some of the smaller stuff.
Yeah.
I will probably go all in on this, depending on the what's and the where's and the whens, and where we are globally, economically, and things like that.
That's
So,
true.
yeah, I mean, that could change.
We won't get into that, but yeah, there's a lot of ifs coming.
Actually, I think we will talk maybe just a little bit about it, because I'll tell you what I'm going to do. The next thing I want to talk about is Malediction. That was a game that I also got kind of into, and I did it because I walked past the Loot Studios booth. Now, Loot Studios, as you know, is probably know, is one of those companies that has STL files that are available with their subscriptions. They got a fantasy subscription, they've got a sci-fi subscription, and then you get a certain cool package every month. Well, they come up with this game, this Malediction game, and it uses some of the minis that they've produced previously, but it has this other aspect to it as well, whereas the terrain plays a big part in the game. And so you can print that terrain either on a resin printer that's got a bigger bed or on an FDM printer. And then the minis for this are all resin prints. So you basically you can buy it either as a box set that has cardboard standees and QR codes where you can scan those, get access to the libraries, and print the STL files, or you can go ahead and buy a small deck box like one of these guys here. If I can, there it is. So it's like this guy here, and inside, obviously, I've got like the whole big deck. Wow, this filter is terrible. You got a whole thing. There's cards.
Got a
in there.
bunch of prints in there. Awesome.
It's amazing. It's not just, it doesn't go into the void. So there's cards in there, and the deal is that they're trying to sell it as Magic the Gathering meets Warhammer meets Diablo. That's a terrible way to sell this game, because the truth is that is not what this is. There is a card aspect to it, a deck building aspect to it, but it's not collectible. So consequently, there is no blind buys. There's none of that Magic the Gathering nonsense, right? The big turnoff to Magic, I think, is the collectability like that. So this, it's more like a living card game. It's more like the Fantasy Flight games, like the Marvel Champions or Arkham Horror, and it's one of those things where you just buy the box, you get all the cards, and then those cards that have units on them, you can print those STL files. My printer has been running nonstop for the last 2 weeks, and I really should put some ventilation into that thing because my entire basement right now is probably an EPA Superfund site. But the deal, I'm wearing the P100 mask when I walk downstairs. You know, it's crazy. But I printed the entire Order of the Shattered Throne. I printed a good majority of the Primal Blood. We've gone ahead and I printed Dennis's stuff for him, the Fallen. So there's a lot of really cool stuff going on. This game, I think, is going to have some legs. There
Okay.
are some demos that are going to be happening locally, and I'll talk to you guys offline about that because I do want to drag you to one of these demos. I know
Okay.
you're rolling your eyes about this, Crody, and the funny thing is the way that you're feeling about this is probably the way that Greg feels about Ark World.
Yeah, I know. And the reason why I feel that way is because I know that I'm going to get sucked into it and I'm going to enjoy it, and that's what I don't want.
Yeah, but you can print these. So that's kind of what I wanted to get to. This game, there's another game called Mobile Arms, stealing some of your thunder there, Gaming Greg. Mobile Arms was a game that we demoed, we took a look at, we really liked. And what Mobile Arms is, it's a
Oh,
game
it's
that's done by Blacksite Studios.
balls.
Well, they're sold through Blacksite Studios. And Endless Destiny here, it is the mecha game that you want to play. So this game, actually, each of these frames, they have multiple magnetic connection points on them.
Yep.
And so you buy the 5 millimeter by 2 millimeter magnets, you glue them on there, and then these weapons you can get, and you glue the magnets onto those, and now suddenly your guys are all customizable for every time you want to play. And the cool thing is, even though there are the frames in different sizes, there is no requirement that you decide that you're going to use one frame or another frame because you're building your mech when you play. So you say, I'm not using this chassis, I'm just using a light, medium, or heavy, basically. And they have a certain number of structure points on them, more or less, and a certain amount of energy that they can generate. And you just kind of say, okay, I'm gonna put this on here, and it takes this, and then you just kind of make sure that everything works
So
together.
yeah,
So it's like
each frame,
basically.
yeah. Well, no, it's totally not BattleTech. So yeah, this was the game that this is the other game that I ended up purchasing on Sunday. We got the demo in with the creator of the game. I think his name's Corey Sullivan. I know at least the first name is Corey.
Yeah.
Um, but it was a great demo. I've been looking for a mecha game, and it's funny because the guy Alex from GCT was on with Arashi's fanboy, and he said that Adepticon was all about mecha this year. Uh, which with BattleTech, there was another guy who had his little chibi mech game, but then he also had a Chinese version of a mech game, which was very similar to this, in that you build the mechs, you put the hard points on, but I didn't demo that game. And there were a couple others, Conflict 47, which we talked to them.
Yep.
Again, not necessarily a mech game, but they definitely had mech looking figures that are involved with it. So, but I've been looking for a game to kind of. I enjoy BattleTech, I enjoy Alpha Strike, but the mobility in that, I'm more of an anime kind of mobility person. I want more dynamic movement. I want more dynamic combat than what BattleTech and Alpha Strike give me. Um, this fit the bill. The build is again, as Eric's saying, the build you build your mechs. It's really easy. You get a card. There are three frame types: light, medium, and heavy. Each of them have a certain tonnage amount. When you build your force to 9 tons. And so you're basically picking however you want to mix and match your frames to build to, and then you fill out the different weapon point. You have certain hard points and energy costs on your mech, and so that's how it's balanced out that way. So if I want to build a mech that, if I want to have a light mech that's got like the big mega heavy cannon on it, it's going to suck all my power and it's going to take all my hard points. I can do that. Does that mech move any faster than my other mechs? No, because I might be able to take a speed pack instead of a weapon, or I could take more defensive measures on my mech. So it's really it was real fun, and the combat is simple but still engaging.
Yep.
So I think we're probably going to see this on some battles and things like that. Very very narrative. I think and it's the scenarios are basic because you're trying to essentially fulfill contracts, but you could tweak it to do some more interesting things, and I think we're probably going to dig into that more and more. So this is a game I'm looking forward to to showing how to playing it, and then start doing some creative things with. So yeah, that was my last purchase of the con, and I will say I bought both the card packs now and the expansion rules.
Nice.
They should be delivered soon.
Yeah, I haven't got my delivery confirmation on my stuff yet, but I'm looking forward to that. So on the way home, I also bought more stuff because they
Literally in the car as I was driving.
they practically sold out of the booth. I mean, there was next to nothing left by the
Oh,
time.
that guy I thought was going nuts with us as we're trying to figure out, do we want to get this? But I don't want all the MDF that crap that comes with it. But I want
Yeah,
all the stuff that's in it, but I don't want this.
yeah, and I think we were talking to one of the owners of Blacksite, and I didn't mean to kind of like be a chump about it, but it's like I don't need the MDF. Like there was a lot of terrain that's in that box, but I think if you've got infinity terrain or stuff like that that's sufficiently sci-fi looking, hell, even like the stuff from Cyberpunk would work totally fine for this.
Yeah.
So you could do so much. And then the other game, obviously, Arc World. So I yes, Cody did suck me into buying Arc World. I did one quick demo just to kind of get a feel for how things were going to play, but I already knew just by looking at it I was going to love it, and I sure did. Conflict 47, I was prepared to buy that. I was prepared to
Yeah.
buy that, but they didn't really have a whole lot
Not the new
available
not the new
to us.
edition. They didn't have the new edition.
Well, that's exactly what it is, right? So the new edition is currently being worked on. They said October, and until I know what the new edition is going to entail, I didn't want to go start buying a bunch of stuff because hey, I could spend money on a bunch of other stuff, right? But be that as it may, I think Warlord still did really, really well this con. I think everybody actually did well this con. But so really quickly, there's two things that I wanted to mention. I bought a couple of games that weren't STL printable kind of games. And then I also bought a couple of games that were like Mobile Arms, 100% can be printed. They do have the STLs available. You can buy digital or you could buy physical prints. The other thing is this Malediction, right? And so for me, it came down to, well, what am I going to have an easier time getting a hold of in the event that the global economic situation gets weird and we don't necessarily know if I'm going to be able to get stuff from China? And let's face it, a lot of game companies, that's where they source their stuff. So it's like, well, Malediction made in the US, and I'll be able to always print whatever models I want as long as I can get a hold of resin. And getting a hold of resin is still going to be cheaper than buying a box of figs.
Mhm.
So I figure, okay, so I've kind of got onto that STL train. But those are my big purchases, and that was pretty much everything I picked up, other than a bunch of drinks, which was a really good call.
All right. So that pretty much covers the Adepticon experience and things like that. So now I want to kind of just drill in, and we'll try to do this as quickly as possible about Bushido. Because Bushido is the one big thing I know me and Cody were both involved with. I was heavily involved with running. Cody was playing, not just the fun day, but basically the Grandmasters. Plus, we kind of had our predictions as to what was going to happen with Bushido. So, just to kind of quickly give an overview of things, Grandmasters overall, like I said, Grandmasters was a I thought it was from a running it was a success. I thought we did it went very well. I was very happy with how things go. The prize support was great. We were able to get first figures for the next wave. That's going to be that they're selling it at Salute, but you're probably not going to see for several weeks. So we did a random draw for those figures. We had the swords, which always go over well. We had the painter's hat, and then we had a lot of extra figures that people could kind of sort through from the we'll call it the GCT garage cleanup. Just to kind of run through the prize winners, and then we'll go into our predictions really well. And Cody, you could also give some insights just for play as we go into that. But share screen. I should have this better, but I don't. All right. So just to really briefly go through here, our third place painting. I probably am not. I will be perfectly honest. I don't have the names of everybody, but I know this gentleman is Tyler. He's from the Madison group. He took third place in painting, so that was really nice that he was able to do that with his Inari. I think he was, as we'll talk over things in a little bit, he was one of 2 temple players, which was something of a shock, I would say. Coming in second place, the gentleman, he had a wonderfully painted Ito army, but he didn't stick around. So
He won
I
second place and dipped.
we didn't know. Well, yeah, he didn't get his prize, so it just meant more painting stuff for everybody else. Third place, or I just didn't get my picture with him. First place for painting went to a wonderful. What the heck is being open there?
Can of chips, maybe? Or a
Uh,
bunch of
I don't
aerosol.
know. Somebody it sounded like
Dr. Dice is hitting
he
whippets.
he must not be getting enough of the resin, so he was deciding to do that. First place painted went to this beautiful Ito army, as you can see there,
That's a
and
nice
he has
display
the
board.
coveted new prize for painters, the painted hat. I know it's a very, very
The Ronin
majestic
hat.
hat. Yeah, it was
He-
nice.
I
like
will
that
say, I did
Satoshi.
see him on Saturday, and he was carrying it around. I told him he needs to wear it.
Hey, he had it on Saturday, so he was wearing it and taking it off, putting it
Yeah.
on. So hey, that's great that he was still carrying it around. That's awesome.
I've got this
Yeah.
blown up right now. I mean, like that artwork for that Satoshi, if that's, I mean, that looks great, to be quite
Yeah.
honest.
I think he also, I don't know if he won last year or if he
No,
was there
it was one
last
of the
year.
guys down in
No,
Florida that
yeah,
won last year.
yeah, it was the Brotherhood box that
Yeah.
was insane.
Yeah. So this was really nice. So again, I was really, really pleased, not just with the painters, but that we had such good prize support that we got the extra prize support from Adepticon to be able to give them some more things. And aside from just the belt buckles. Running through again. I just lost my controls. There we go.
Control Alt Delete.
There
So
you
now
go.
we get into the placers. Fourth place was our friend from Canada, Sean Emberley, playing Savage Wave, which apparently the entire Bushido community helped build his list to kind of help him try to figure out how can we have Bushido, how can we have Savage Wave do well. He piloted it very well to fourth place. In third place was one of our local guys, Landon. He was running with Ito Clan. I have been beat up numerous times by that list in the preparation to this tournament, and Landon has just kind of started playing this game probably the last 2-3 months, 3 months,
Yeah,
4 months.
3 or
I
4
sold
months.
him the Ito that he was playing after Dragonfall.
There we go. Okay, so
Oh,
after
okay, so
Dragonfall.
Dragonfall. So
Yeah.
Okay,
6
so then
months.
it's been more of that. So 6 months, 8 months. But he does come from Malifaux, which again is a highly competitive thing. So he did a great job piloting his Ito list to third place. Second place, and this was probably one of the tightest things, which is also going to lead to a change, a couple different changes in the Grand Masters for next year. But Carl Turbid from Canada with his Silver Boom, but basically it really was a Ronin list. Playing Imperial for one, and I forget what he was playing with the other
Jade
one.
Roses
He
was
had
was
Jade
the
So
secondary.
he did
I
a few.
don't think he ever dropped those.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think he was saving that for specific things.
Yeah, it was for me, which would have been round 3.
Yeah, so he got edged out. Was edged out by one strength of schedule to Grandmaster. Oh, nope. First, we have the wooden sword,
Oh,
Justin Nelson. And I'll be honest, Justin shouldn't have gotten the wooden sword. He wasn't the lowest scoring player. We did have one player who had 0 points, but they dropped, I think, in the third or fourth round. And yeah, so there's that. But he is a great sport, and it's always good to see him there. Uh, we don't give out wooden spoons; we give out wooden swords. So you could get good, or beat the winners and take their belt buckles. That's one way or the other. You're going to get something. But our winner this year, first place 2025 North American Grandmaster,
okay,
Bushido
I know who
Grandmaster,
he
is the Demo of Dan. He's
Wow,
he's from
sounds
Michigan.
so sad about that, Jason. Gee.
I played against him in open play last year just to kind of play, and it was okay. I mean, I got rickrolled with it, but just the interaction was very odd for me. It's like he knew what he was doing, and so now I understand probably why he won the Grandmasters, because if it was basically the list that I used last year, but some minor changes, I mean, yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Good player. I think he plays a lot of, and it's the new thing that's been taking over Bushido is the TTS. A lot of people have been playing that online. So you may not see them in the tournament circuit or playing at tournaments with physical miniatures that much, but there's a lot of people who are playing a lot of games online.
Yeah.
So that's something to always consider out there. And one of the things I always say, how do you get to be a grandmaster in Bushido? You play pardon language, you play a fuck ton of games against a lot of different armies and a lot of different people. And TTS allows you to do that.
Yeah.
So that will be very interesting to see how that affects grandmasters tournaments going forward, especially in the United States where our metas are really kind of spread out. I will say they're spread out in Europe too, but travel through Europe is a heck of a lot easier, it seems, than it is, or cheaper, I should say, than going to different places within the United States. If you're 1-2 hour away, you could probably get a tournament in, and that's not a big deal. But if like I want to go down and do one of Brian's tournaments down in the Dallas Fort Worth area, that's a pricey endeavor to
Yeah.
go and do that.
Yeah.
It may not be as easy. So those were our winners for the Grandmasters. What do we have here? Oh, so let's talk really quick about our predictions, and then we'll talk about Cody. Do you want to give a brief summation of your Grandmasters experience, whether you want to or not? If you don't want to, that's fine. We're
Yeah,
short on time.
I'll go quick. I'll go quick. So I played Awoken. I was the only player.
Yes, I
I will
noticed right here.
say that I put my list up and left it open, knowledge on Longshank, so that way people, because it is a 2-list format, could have a
Mhm.
counter just in case. I had a Fear 9 list that I had zero intention of ever dropping, and the other list just because I like the models. Got a lot of harassment beforehand, both
Really?
online and in person. Yeah.
Huh.
So
About
that
what?
was just
About-
because I was playing spiders. So that's a little bit negative.
Compared
You
to
have
everybody
this
else playing Crit Strike.
right. You have this newer faction, and then just yeah. So that I could go on with that for
That's
like an
stupid.
hour,
That's
but
so fucking stupid.
beside that, so first game, Savage Wave player didn't know what spiders did,
Mm,
Oh,
unfortunately for
mhm.
him. Yeah. So second game was against one of our locals. Again, he didn't know what spiders did, and I just was able to basically wipe him off the board. And he was playing Tengu too, so a
Okay.
lot of the one key birds couldn't really do
Oh,
anything about it.
yeah.
Very good player, very good game. Could have, a couple dice rolls could have turned the tide for him. Third game was actually against Demo of Dan, and very good game. I knew exactly what his list did. I knew exactly what he was going to do. I moved forward with my first move. I moved back with my second move, which kind of made him contemplate. He's like, "What's going on?" Not really. He knew what I was doing, but um, that game literally came down to dice. I rolled 5 or 6 defense rolls in a row where I rolled snake eyes. So obviously just lost a model after model after model.
mhm.
And it came down to him crit striking Chinatsu, I believe, at full health.
Oof.
And I had a ranged attack that if I would have either done one more point of damage or hit with the second attack, I probably would have won that game. So
It's tight. It's tight.
Revenge
Yeah.
from me
yeah,
last year when I should have got your dude.
yeah. So I mean, dice games are gonna dice.
Mhm.
Very unfortunate, but very good player, very deserving of the win. And then last round was against Landon and dice again. I had 6 models on Yatsumata, and he had 3 models left. I think I had 8 total left. He had 3. I had 6 of them on Yatsumata. That game ended with him having 3 models up, and I was tabled.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's impressive.
so the last 2 games were no
Those are the ones that
tactical
get you.
errors whatsoever. It was purely down to dice.
That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah. So overall, though, good time.
It's high
Good,
stress. It's high
yeah.
stress.
Well, and originally I went into it, I was like, I'm not planning on winning. I just want to show people what the spiders do. I don't necessarily think they're overpowered or anything. It's just Fear 9, scary, whatever. What.
Mhm.
And my big thing was with the tournaments, especially at Grandmaster level. I put this in the Discord too, is that we have a lock-in date. people need to get their lists locked in, and then what needs to happen is those lists need to become visible.
Mm-hmm.
Not you can't make any changes, so there's no net decking after the fact. But one, it allows the community to check and the judges to check the
To vet the lists.
validity.
Yep.
But it also allows you to familiarize yourself with the lists. People might not know what Awoken do, what Kinshi do, stuff like that. So they can kind of look at it and go, oh, okay, I might not know all the tricks like the teleporting spider, but I can be like, oh, I at least have seen the cards.
Right. Yeah.
So that was kind of the rationale. I didn't think I'd be the only Awoken player, but
so that rolls very nicely into our predictions.
Yeah.
And I will say I am once again totally thrown off by what we predicted and what the reality is. So I have my little list that I've wrote up, but I have here listed here. So the good thing is we had every faction was represented. So that's fantastic. Even if there was just one player playing an army, there was at least one of every faction showed up to play. So that's wonderful. I will say I was somewhat surprised that there were so many Ito players. 6 players. That was the most represented army of all, which no one on the bingo card here picked Ito to be the most represented. We had a
I
couple
could
for Silver
see it.
Moon.
I didn't
We
think that
had
it was just gonna happen. I figured that, I mean, it's everybody trying to vie for that. Oh, I won with Ito Grandmaster at this
I
point,
think
I
that
feel
was a
like.
little bit of it. I think there were also some newer players that were really vibing on Ito. I also think that Ito in the past year have gotten some more interesting weapons to play with. They're not
Oh yeah.
overpowered, but there's a lot of fun toys in the Ito list with that with the whole blah, 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 impetuous thing and other things. And there's even more new interesting Ito models coming out. So
Yeah.
I could see the appeal. Plus, genuinely, they look pretty good.
Mhm.
Well, and the Blessed rework really helped.
That's
It's
the
no
other
longer just Serpent's Coil.
no longer Serpent's Coil. There were a few people who were even playing Lords.
That's
Yeah.
kinda
So
sweet.
again, a really really wonderful mix, and I think that just goes to show that while they may not dominate the tournament circuit like they did in previous editions, they're still popular to play, and by showing they can still place.
Mhm.
So, I have a lot of high hopes for Ito in the future. Um, Second was Ryu, and I will say the theme in probably all 4 of those Ryu lists was Crit Strike.
Which sucks.
I don't know if there was any list in there, and I'd have to go dig through them. I know at least 2 of them were very Crit Strike centric, and I'm pretty sure 3 of them were.
3 for sure. I don't
3
know
for
Yeah.
about
sure.
the
I don't know
4th
about the 4th.
player. Uh,
I'd have to
but I'm
dig
pretty
through it.
sure they were Crit Strike as well.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
had at least one. I think when I looked through it, all of them had some aspect of Crit Strike as basically the primary list, and then they had a secondary list that
If they had a secondary
was
list. I know, like, one of our local players, he specifically put his list together just
be Crit
for
Strike.
Crit Strike,
Yeah.
and he had no other backup list.
Yeah, I gotta get my
And
figs back.
and he did well too. He actually did. He placed top 10. So Crit Strike's a thing. And that might be a discussion for a different day. Is that something that needs to be talked about? Because Dr.
In
Dice
North
says no.
America, it does
Dr.
because
Dice says
we're
no.
in North America, it does because we're all we're all cutthroat fuckers that are gonna be
Well,
like, "I'll play Crit Strike, and congratulations, you might have one model that takes that clan armor," but again, having close to a 20% chance just to
16.
knock a model off,
Yeah,
like
I'd never waste the
I know, well,
gold on or
there's
So
not
no
wor
one's gonna
it's not
no
worth
one's
it
gonna
for
put the
that
points
price
out
point,
just
but
on the off chance you run into a Crit Strike list in a matchup.
I'm pretty sure it's, again, for anything that's like these high level grandmaster competitions, that Crit Strike's just going to show up. I mean,
Oh, it's gonna be
it
there.
gets the job done.
Well, saying that, I thought there would be, and a bunch of other people thought that there would be more Temple. We only had 2 Temple players out of
Hey,
30, out of the 32 that played.
I said Temple
Um,
was going to be
I
not
know.
represented that well, and I'm still pissed that 2 were there.
Yeah.
I just thought that there'd be more Kitsune just because they're beautiful models. Like
Hmm.
I didn't.
And at least one of the 2 was Kitsune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, Minimoto 4, that does not surprise me.
No.
at all. That's I would probably if it was if Minimoto falls in the 4 or 3 players out of a field of 32, that's pretty much where I would peg it to be because it's so beginner friendly. Um, and by looking, if I remember correctly, I think 2 of the Minimoto players were newer players for sure. Um, the surprise definitely was Dissension, but it
Yeah.
wasn't. That was my did I put that as? No, I put Jung as the dark horse, and I was totally wrong on that. However, Craig from Bushido was it Craig? No, Headley had Dissension as the dark horse. I would say that's very dark horse for dark horse positive. Dark horse negative was 2 temple players. Uh, dark horse positive was Dissension, and I thought there would be more Dissension players just because of the changes they have made. Kind of like with some of the changes they made to Bless List, the changes they made to some of the themes for Dissension made them much more playable. And in the ramp up to this, we had a couple of our guys playing Dissension. Um, they were tough as nails with those new changes.
Hmm.
So I think with the new changes they've put in and whatnot, they have, you're going to probably see Dissension numbers increasing as you go to more tournaments. Um, Savage Wave, 3 players. Again, surprised, not surprised.
Not surprised at all.
Okay. That's where
Yeah,
we think it's probably gonna
I'm
settle
not.
in at?
Yeah,
Or
I would be surprised if it was three like strictly Bakemono lists.
Yeah,
That would surprise me if there was no Oni. But Oni, the big thing with Bushido is you don't need a lot of models,
mhm.
and as a newer player, especially the price point for Bushido's never been that bad. But if I can buy 3 Oni and 3 Oni slaves
Mhm.
and play a game, then why not? You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So um,
so
I feel like
so
they're pretty much always going to be. I, I would give them a wider range, but I would say Savage Wave's always going to be 1 to 3. But I would say 2 of them are pretty much always going to be Oni or have a Oni
Well,
list in them.
it'll be very interesting if they put out, the rumor and Jason Enos kinda dropping that there's a potentially an Onishu box or an Onishu set or
mm,
some kind of Onishu coming
There was
out.
yeah,
pictures on the Discord.
I
yeah.
think we're gonna find out more this weekend at Salute what's going
Yeah,
on.
they
Uh,
had the models in the booth on Sunday,
yeah,
Oh,
well,
nice.
Sunday I was
or
running around like a
at least
maniac.
a model. I saw it on Discord.
Oh, just a
Yeah.
heads up. So Savage Wave was Al's dark horse pick.
Well, there you go. It's not a bad call on that.
I
I
just
mean,
forgot to put his stuff in here, but yeah,
yeah,
yeah, Savage Wave was his dark
his
horse
dark horse.
pick.
I again,
And
I
actually,
think if there was one more player out of the field of 32, I would call that surprising. But and 3 still, I 2 is where I would see it settling at mostly.
yeah. And
Next
actually
one,
he called
he did call.
he called Least Faction too, which was pretty impressive.
Okay. Um, then Shadowwind with 2 players. Considering our normal guy who comes to the con was not there to play Shadowwind, having 2 was interesting. So that was somewhat surprising for me. So I would also call that a dark horse, just in general, because most people hate my boards and my setting style. So therefore, Shadowwind is totally unplayable in anything that I run.
Guilty, but not with Shadowwind. I just hate your boards. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. Now
That's
this was
because the 6 idols. You always put me on the board with a freaking building in the middle.
I don't do anything. It is
Yeah.
totally Longshanks.
Nah,
Totally Longshanks that makes those
rigged.
choices. I totally don't program it at all, or
Yeah.
talk to Sam to have him program it for me because he could actually program it and I can't. But I didn't say that. Thank you, Sam, for Longshanks. Uh,
Yes, that's
so this was the shocker for me. Was only 2 players for Silver Moon. So
With the asterisk that they basically were running Ronin lists.
they would a lot of them had 2 lists, and one of them was the Ronin lists. What I found interesting is I thought there was going to be more because and this kind of went back to last couple times that we've run. The box that sold at the previous Adepticon usually meant that there were going to be an abnormally large amount of that particular faction's player at the next Adepticon. Last Adepticon, they sold the Kabuki box. So I was figuring there was going to be a larger amount of Kabuki box players, and maybe people sneaking in with Imperials as Silver Moon. Apparently, I was wrong. Go figure, because I had Silver Moon nowhere on my chart, but
I believe they were my first, and then I said Ito is second when we were talking.
yeah, you had Silvermoon first. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, both of these, the Silvermoon players were Ronin.
Yep. Yeah, mainly Ronin.
Because one of them was Blood Brothers, the other one was Imperial, and then because Brian was the one, and he
Oh,
had
Brian's the other Silvermoon player.
he had the Jason's Kenichi Gemu list, which I
Yeah.
thought that was just going to run rampant because that list is insane. But
Mhm.
It's because he didn't take it exactly as I wanted and needed to swap out my Rice Bale Barricade for Paragon. That's why he got screwed.
He didn't play it.
No,
I
he
don't
did.
know if he did or not. He
No,
did.
he had to play it round 2 because otherwise his other list was his Blood Brothers list, and going
yeah, and
into
that was going
Imperial,
against
it was going to
Carl.
get ripped apart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he had to swap it out round 2.
Got it. So 2 Temple players, that was kind of a surprise, and one of them was the Inari. Again, I don't know if it's just some of the new shiny stuff here, and Temple hasn't gotten anything spectacularly new or shiny lately,
No,
or
you're
we've just
tired of them winning.
No, we the community or us have shade beaten them into the
browbeaten them
ground.
into not playing Temple anymore.
Well,
Win with something else.
some of their stuff, in my opinion, needs rebalancing too. Because the Masters theme was absolutely bonkers when it came
Yes, it
out.
was.
It's been nerfed since then, but I do feel like some of the Masters could be looked at again, just with some price points and stuff. But that's beside the point right now.
Yeah. 2 players for Cult of Uri, which
That one's a surprise for me, to be honest.
I think it's about where I thought it would be, but I thought there might have been some more. I thought there would be more Skellies, and they were not.
That's the reason why I thought is that next to really the crit strike with how everything has been going, or at least been talking about and over in Europe showing, the
Mhm.
Skellies are basically like that's the entry point. Go bigger. Or if you can't deal with the Skellies at some point, especially in the 2 list format, good luck at a Grandmasters.
Well, and I knew Zach was not going to play a Skelly list because he
Right.
had a whole different idea for it, and and so very surprised by that.
Originally, I was going to, but I didn't like the way they were painted, so
There you
instead I
go.
played spiders.
Play with the spiders. And then tying up for least played would be Shiho, which took me by surprise because I thought with the changes that had been made to Shiho, more people were playing. But maybe it was people didn't have a chance to test their lists out, prevented more people from playing Shiho. There were a lot of changes made to Shiho and their themes, and they were some radical ones. I know there was some radical changes made to Ito, but Ito you still could have played without doing that. It just made Blessed more viable.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't changing the play style too much. The changes that were made to Shiho were a little more structural. Kinshi, they're Kinshi. You're always going to see one or we were shocked by the number of them last 2 years ago. I think we've settled into where we're down to just the one now.
That's
one
where
or
Al's
two.
guess was they were going to be the least represented.
Yeah,
Well, 1 to
that's for
2
sure.
for that. I don't even remember what I said.
You had Kenshi. Yeah, you had
Yeah.
Kenshi as list, and so did Craig, and so did Mutaz. And then Awoken. I thought there might have been at least one other Awoken player.
I thought there would be 2 to 3.
Yep.
With
I thought there would be 2
myself included in that number. But yeah, when lists were revealed and I was the only one, I was like, oh, okay.
And I don't know if it means that some of those people who had signed up, and because we had essentially 5 drops. Actually, I'd say we had, because we had a few sign on at the last minute. And we were at 37, so we had probably about 6-7 drops to get us to 32. So I don't know what those people were going to play, which would have been interesting. I really wanted to get to 40 this year, or Ito. Yes. And then Jung. Again, I thought Jung was going to be my dark horse. I thought we were going to see more because the pearl box with all the eel and the jellyfish, I thought that was going to be something that more people were going to play. And so Jung would be more represented. But again,
Yeah, you can run the Dark Pilgrim, can't they? With like that stun span with the eel, and then just let Dark Pilgrim just go rampant.
Yep,
honestly, I think with the spiders with the obnoxious fear and the fear skeletons, a lot of these lists I think this is going to be a fairly normal spread because you look at combo attack and some of the other necessities that you need to take these lists out, and Jung doesn't have a lot.
No.
And a lot of their stuff is one key, so fear sucks.
Yep.
Shiho, I mean, pretty much everything's 2 melee. I know the changes, they can get up to 4 and whatnot, and they have some other shenanigans, but still, you're using a lot of resources. And um, so yeah, I think just with some of the stuff coming down the pipeline, we're going to see a weird meta shift until
Well, it's
stuff
going to be
happens.
interesting to see how the new funeral box goes. From my standpoint, the funeral box is more of a narrative play thing, but I don't
Hmm.
know. I'm sure people like Mutaz or Craig or Al or you are going to find ways to make it more competitive, or maybe just pull a figure or two out from that box
That's
and put it into more of a Ryu list rather than using the box as a whole.
mm,
The Awoken box as a whole, granted it's a new faction, that plays pretty solid. The Kabuki box in general could be
is
played as a whole thing and still be somewhat competitive. It's better if you pull a couple figures out, but it has a shot.
The kabuki box sucks, to be quite honest. I mean, you can add
You're
stuff
trading the
into
two
it,
Kabukis.
you're pulling that for parts
Okay.
because it's just some good stuff there. I think the funeral box, because I finally took a look at some of the cards since they uploaded the other day. I think it's the reverse a little bit of the kabuki box. I think the theme is decent for what it does. It's still very flavorful than more than anything.
Mhm.
But because there is the openness of which support models, especially you can throw in there, that can get really scary really quick, especially with the three shamed samurai that are locked to that theme.
Mhm.
Because once those guys lose their shame tokens and everything like that,
Yep.
they become absolutely disgusting. Short of everybody going to need Kappa to basically lock them down because they're all unstable.
Okay. Well, we'll have to see how that
So
all
that's
that
how I kind of
all
see that going right now, or
yeah.
that's how I can see that particular
Yeah.
box going.
We'll see how that all pans out. So, just to kind of run through things to kind of give you the prediction scoreboard, no one picked Ryu as or no one picked Ito as the most played at all. No one had him. Least played because we had several least played. Cody, you had picked least played. Dr. Dice, you had least played. Both me and Jason whiffed on that one. Brother Bear over in Australia, he totally whiffed on that one. And same with Jason the Bruce, picking Ito as the least played. Um, Shiho. Yep, nope. Headley was spot on. Kenshi was kind of an easier one. Again, I was more thinking Kenshi was going to be the outlier because we had such a strong showing a couple other times. Dark horses, these are the always hard ones to see. I could definitely see Cody Ryu with Dark Horse with 4 players. Again, though, with the crit strike, it was made a little more sense, especially in a Skelly
Yeah,
Fear kind of a way. Dr. Dice, your Savage Wave. Again, even though we think it was more the norm, or maybe the meta is our North American meta is going to settle into a 3 player, where a 3 player in a 30 field of 32 is common. I still think it's a larger number. So you could get that dark horse. Jason with Kenshi, yeah, 1 player. No, that's not surprising.
I had hope.
Jung,
Okay.
I know. I thought Jung was going to do better. That was my dark horse. Totally crashed. Brother Bear, Kenshi, no. Jason the Bruce. Uh, Having 2 Shadow Wind is a little surprising. Again,
yeah,
but I don't know if I would call it dark horse. Headley having Dissension as 3, I would definitely call that as a dark horse. That was actually my other dark horse consideration, just because you don't necessarily see Dissension. They're pretty modeled, but they haven't been very competitive of late. So you only usually see maybe 1, maybe 2 players in a big field. 3 was kind of a good showing for them. Craig and Mutaz had Awoken. Um, Sorry guys, that's only 1 player means that's a no go. Winner. Uh Silver Moon. Came close, but no cigar, even though it would be more of a Ronin list rather than a Silver Moon. I banked on Temple, and Temple let me down. So UK Grandmasters, Temple needs to win. I want to be a
no,
winner.
Shut up.
no.
I want to be a winner.
We don't need Temple. We don't need Silvermoon. We don't need Ryu.
Brother
don't need
Bear would
Cult.
agree with me too. Need to be
Yeah,
a
we don't
winner.
need Call. Everyone else is fine.
Jason the Bruce was thinking the Awoken would win. They
I
tried,
tried.
and if there were more, I think that's very possible. Headley wasn't sure what Cody was playing, so we're going to say Awoken for him. Again, that didn't necessarily work out properly. And Craig and Mutaz thought, much like I did, that Temple was going to pull it off, and
Al
well,
thought Colt was going to win.
Ryu won.
Yeah.
What did I say? I don't even remember what I said.
You didn't. You said
You said whatever you were going to play.
Oh, that's right. I was just being an ass.
so that's kind of the wrap up. So from this to kind of put a really quick bow in this, looking forward to next year, we are the group of us who have been running the tournament, the Gaming with the Guys group and the Bushido Badgers group, and now we're getting the DFW Bushido group involved too. We're going to be in talks with GCT. The goal that GCT would like, because both GCT and ourselves were very, very happy to have our own room. Dr. Dice, I know you weren't crowded, but you were sharing a room with other people. And again, it gets kind of loud. It gets kind of noisy. It gets kind of warm until they fix the air conditioning. It's nice to have your own space, especially if you're going to be running stuff and still go and do other things. It gives you kind of a central point. From GCT's standpoint, I think they want to have more booth space for selling and talking, and possibly have their demos down in our area. So what we're going to be working on is we should be able to lock a room for 4 days. I've already talked to Adepticon about that. It's just a matter of posting the numbers for it. It's what are we going to do during those 4 days? There'll definitely be open play tables. I don't know if we're going to have as many dedicated, but to be perfectly honest, we never have 40 people show up to play on 20 tables at any one time. Even at the Grand Masters, we didn't have that. What I would like to see is some open play. I'd like to see some more narrative play. I'd like to see some new ideas, some new scenarios be done. I would love to see playtesting done over those 4 days with a whole bunch of random people. Now, I know with NDAs that would be difficult. The Grandmasters will still be there. The Grandmasters will always be on Friday. The only change that I see for the Grandmasters, and I think most of our group is in agreement on it, is it will go to 5 rounds. So it's going to be a late night if you're playing, Cody. 5 rounds. But we're going to do a cut. You go 3 rounds and we cut to top 4. So only 4 players are going to be playing all 5 rounds. And those 4 players will be guaranteed a 1, 2, 3, or 4 spot. So after the 4th round, who's ever on the top table, that's your 1 and 2 players. Who's ever on the 3-4 table, those are your 3-4 players. That position is set. We'll try to find some other things to do for the other players after those 3 rounds, or they could just go and enjoy Adepticon. I know usually our 3rd round ends with about an hour left for actually no, more than an hour. Yeah, about an hour left for the hall to go shopping and do things. It's also prime time for people to go and do painting, to go do late night events. So that will be very conducive to what Adepticon is. Adepticon is different from going to a store in your local town and running a 2-day Bushido only event. So we're trying to factor a whole lot of things in. Yes, for those 4 people who are going to play those last 2 rounds, it's a long day, but I think the prize is worth it. And I will have to admit, and Cody and Jason, maybe you've both played, you could correct me if I'm wrong really quickly. We give generous amounts of time in between rounds.
Oh, yeah.
And our
yeah.
lunch break is about an hour and a half. And if you finish your game early at the end of that 2nd round, if you get done, we have 2-hour rounds. If you finish that round an hour and a half or 1 hour in, now all of a sudden you've got 2.5 hours for lunch. You grab a nap, you get something to eat, you go shop, you do whatever you have to chill out.
I feel
and
you're
calm
too
down.
lenient on your breaks. It needs to be harder. Be like, nope, go next round.
No. I want it to be a nice casual pace where no one's stressed out. I think
I want
even
someone
though
to
it got late,
restart
it
like
wasn't
Cody
bad.
did 2 years ago.
Shut up.
So that's kind of the plan going forward. If you have idea for those people who are listening and playing Bushido and are going to be at Adepticon 2026, if you have ideas or thoughts of things that you would like to see or do for Bushido at Adepticon 2026, throw them in the comments. We'd love to hear that. And hey, if you have made it this far, through all these different videos and are still watching, you should be subscribing. I don't know why you're not. Subscribing helps us a ton. You should do it. You should do it right now. And you should give us a thumbs up because hell, this has been entertaining. You've gotten knowledge. You've gotten don't give me the half thumbs up. Emperor Claudius. Thumbs up. That
Oh, now
puppet
he's
master.
doing
I don't know what
yeah,
that is.
now
I don't even know what
I
that
think
is.
he was doing like the Michael Jackson like Thriller thing.
That's the Michael Jackson thing.
Rob's
Yeah.
to cause.
The cross. All right. Anyway, so give us a like, ring that bell, so that way you could get more notices. We are hoping in the future, Dr. Dice and I, to be putting out more videos, more how-to stuff potentially on his channel, more talking stuff on my channel, more battle reports, long form, and hopefully in the near future, short form battle reports for not just Bushido, but for Cyberpunk, for Leviathans, for Mobile Arms. I'm looking forward to doing Mobile Arms, and potentially maybe Arc World. I don't think I'm going to play it, but who knows?
You're playing it. You're playing it. You're going to love it.
Okay, closing thoughts. Jason, what's your closing thought? Give it 30 seconds or less. Go.
I kind of want to play that Mobile Arms game. That game looked actually really cool, so I'm looking forward to maybe snagging some of that to play.
Okay, good. All right. Cody, closing thoughts. 30 seconds. Go.
War Machine is back.
No. War Machine is dead. But I won't say that. War Machine's back for you. Good. All right. Closing thoughts. Dr. Dice, 30 seconds or less. Go.
Yeah, I'm playing War Machine with Cody.
And Arc World.
And Arc World.
And Malediction.
And Malediction. And Leviathans with you, Greg.
Leviathans and Mobile Arms and Cyberpunk and...
Well, actually, Cyberpunk, that'd be fun to try too, finally.
Okay. Yeah, hey, your 30 seconds is over. Shut up. All right, so... All right. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. This was kind of a slog if you've watched things consecutively. Or again, I don't know how we're going to dice this up, but we'll see what happens. And we hope to see you again soon, whether you're watching a battle report, whether you're watching a wonderful Dr. Dice demo or how to play, or just one of his general rants about gaming in general. He likes doing that. He's opinionated, and I love him for it. So, with that being said, have a great day or evening, wherever you may be. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.